Well, good morning and welcome. I'm David Wilson and I'm here in the marshalling yard at Overdivest Nurseries. This is the place where we gather plants from all over the nursery and bring them here before we load them onto trucks and deliver them to our partnering garden centres that of course are located right throughout our region. That's the Mid-Atlantic and Northeastern states. And there, throughout the year, from spring through to late fall, you're likely to see all sorts of really pretty plants, ones that if you have looked through this channel, you'll have probably seen already. And this morning, we're about to load a truck with some of these tree-form hydrangeas, Hydrangea paniculata varieties. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to give you a quick overview of some of the varieties that you might want to think about growing in your garden. Now, before I get into talking about the individual varieties, let me first of all mention that now in early autumn is a wonderful time. In fact, it's my favorite time to be planting. The soil is nice and moist. It's a gorgeous temperature today. There's not a cloud in the sky and it's just fun to be outside. And what's important to mention is that the soil is nice and warm after the summer. So when you take trees like this, or indeed any of the shrubs or perennials that we have, and plant them in the ground, the roots will very quickly get established. And then that means that in springtime, when the demands of a new growth season begins, they're poised to get off to a really fantastic start. So if you're thinking about planting anything in your garden, think definitely about planting now at this time of year. It's nature's planting time, and for me, it's the time that I do most of the planting in my own garden. Now, it's important to mention also that these Hydrangea paniculata trees are really hardy and easy to grow. They'll grow anywhere in our region, and as you probably noticed in some of the other videos, they're very easy to look after too, and put on a terrific show during the summer months when really other plants are sometimes dragging a little bit in the heat and intensity of the summertime. Now, as you see here, we've grown these on what we call a leg. Really, as you see, there's a little trunk of the tree growing up here, about 2.5 to 3 foot high, and then they're trained out to make the head of the variety at the top. That means that these are wonderful trees for smaller sites, or if you wanted to raise up a bed somewhere and create a focal point in the middle of it, they're perfect for that too. And if you want to find out how to grow them, they're really very easy. All they want is a sunny or partially shaded site, though honestly they probably do better in a nice sunny site. They tend to be a little bit more short and compact and freer flowering too. And just an average garden soil as long as it's free draining. Now, if you scroll through some of the other videos here on this channel, you'll find lots of cultural information about how to grow them. There are several videos there. There's one that's called A Complete Guide to Growing Panicle Hydrangeas. There's a couple of other ones that shows you how to prune them, including how to prune some of these tree-formed ones. And we've even got some videos on there that will show you how to plant trees as well. So you really can't go too far wrong. And of course, if you need any extra information, the experts at your local garden centre will be able to guide you and give you extra information on what you can do to get the best out of them in your locality. Now, as you see, we're growing them here in these pots, which is really wonderful because it means that they can safely be transplanted over a very long extended period, quite literally from spring right through to well into the autumn time. And if you get them home, you should probably try to get them planted as soon as possible, certainly in these nice conditions. But if you don't and are not able to get around to it right away, all you have to do really is make sure that they're just well watered until you're ready to take and plant them. And these ones that are through here, as you see, come in different sizes. And if you read the tags, they'll be able to tell you the size that the plants will grow to. Basically, it's the same height as the plants will grow as shrubs in the garden, but of course you have the added height of the leg or little trunk that they're trained on. So it's really very simple, and that's what makes them wonderful for growing in the garden as what I call mini trees. Now, as you see, this variety on the end is one of the most compact varieties that we grow. This is Hydrangea Little Lime, one of the older varieties that was introduced several years ago now by proven winners. But don't let that put you off, because this is really an excellent grower, producing a nice compact head that, as you see, when it flowers then carries these absolutely delightful, slightly chartreuse green colored flowers that, when you look at them closely, have a very nice little white pinhead in the middle of each of the florets. It's really still one of my favorite varieties. Very, very good. Now, this is one that we featured elsewhere on this channel. You'll be able to get information on it. In a garden, as a shrub, it will grow about 3 to 5 foot high. But of course now we have it on this leg, making a little mini tree. And as you can imagine, this is a plant that's going to grow somewhere around about 6 or possibly 8 or maybe just 9 foot high by about the same wide if it's an older plant. But in most people's gardens, it's going to grow into this plant that's going to be about the height of me and have this very nice rounded head with lots of these gorgeous flowers on it. It's a really terrific variety and definitely well worth considering. And then this variety is probably the most commonly encountered one when you go and visit the garden centers. This is this fantastic variety called Limelight, one that I've certainly featured several times because we have it growing in our display garden. It's the one that I demonstrate how to prune them, and this is really now, I would say, the standard variety when it comes to growing different varieties of these panicle hydrangeas. It's a simply wonderful variety, producing these beautiful big creamy white, alabaster white flowers that are held prominently on strong stems. Now, we've tied these up because of our shipping, but when you have this growing in the garden, you'll see that it makes a really terrific effect. Absolutely gorgeous and definitely well worth planting. And then there's this one. This is one called Pinky Winky. Again, introduced some years ago, but it's a really nice, good, strong grower. And as you see, the flowers are a little different with this one. They're a little bit more pyramidal shaped, but they're also open, and they start out with this white alabaster shade as well, but then as the flowers begin to mature, you'll see that they take on a pink coloring at the base and give a very nice bicolor effect, pink and white, with a very nice lacy habit. Now, you'll also notice that these two, this one and this one, are both Pinky Winkies, but you'll see that these are shorter and this one's a little taller, and that means that this one has been trained to what I would call a half standard. In other words, this is going to be shorter and rounded, whereas this one is going to grow up into a slightly taller rounded shape also. Very same variety, just trained a little differently here in the nursery. So depending upon what you're looking for in terms of size in your garden, you'll be able to make your choice. Both of them are going to grow about the same size with their tops. These flowers are just emerging now. These have been out for probably a week or 10 days, so that they're a little bit more open, as you see. The whole plant is going to grow somewhere about 6 to 9 foot high, so you can make your choice as to which size you prefer for your individual situation. And it may be that somewhere in your garden you can use the two different sizes, one perhaps closer to the house or in a smaller, more intimate space, whereas this one you'll put back a little further and allow it to develop its full potential. Both sizes are really good, and both of them show off this fabulous variety to all of its wonderful, triumphant effect. This is Hydrangea Pinky Winky. And then take a look at this one. This is Hydrangea WorryFree Pink, a variety that was developed in the Netherlands, bred by Jan Kraan of Bhutan Company. It has these enormous big heads that, as you see now, are starting to take on some pink coloring. Now this is a fabulous variety because it has really thick stems. Now these are tied in, so I can't really show you, but if you watch this channel in another little while, I'm going to go in and explain a lot more detail about this variety. But effectively, to tell you, this is a really strong, vigorous grower, produces thick, sturdy stems that hold its flowers up well and don't flop over like those old-fashioned PGs that you see with their heads all hanging down. The problem sometimes with varieties with big heads like this is they have thin, whippy stems, and then of course they hang over, particularly after a storm. Not this variety. That's what makes it such a wonderful variety. It's brand new, only just on the market, produces these thick, sturdy stems, and definitely one that I want to tell you a lot more information about. This is Hydrangea WorryFree Pink, a fabulous variety, whether you grow it as a little shrub in the garden or grow it as you see here, a tree that will get to somewhere about 8 to 9 foot high and have flowers quite literally as big as nearly 12 inches or more tall. A wonderful variety, thick and sturdy and bushy, definitely well worth looking out for. This is David Wilson. Enjoy your gardening. It's good for us, and it's very good for our environment too.